What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Next Win podcast with your host, Aunt Ma, co-host Justin Vaseur, and special guest, Mr. Bryan Pham, co-founder of Asian Hustle Network. Thank you for coming back on this podcast. I appreciate you so much. The last episode was so great, so I'm sure all the listeners loved it too. So once again, thank you for being here.
Happy to be here.
And so today, actually, first off, if you guys have not listened to the last episode with Bryan, you have to check it out, okay? He explains so much good stuff about how to run a business, how to start it, how his business grew from zero to, from nothing to a successful business in a short matter of months. And so today we're going to, talk a little bit more about his business and himself, and also a little bit about his personal side. And I wanted to know, usually everyone who starts a new business, they don't think the way that you did. Okay, they start an LLC, and they do brick and mortars and things like that. You went totally opposite. You did nonprofit, and you started a Facebook group. Why did you choose a nonprofit and not an LLC?
Yeah, so just for clarification, we have a nonprofit arm and we have a C corporation, which is kind of like an LLC in some ways. But the reason why we wanted to have both, and especially nonprofit, is because we're looking for an opportunity to generate income in any way possible, whether that's through sales or tickets, media side, sponsorship. That's like the LLC/for-profit side. But the nonprofit side, we realized that companies have a multicultural department and they have an allocated budget to help minorities every single year. Right? And if we didn't have a nonprofit, we'll lose out on like those grants that are between $5 to $10K, 25, and sometimes even up to $100,000. Right?
Wow.
But they only donate to nonprofits. To not lose out on those opportunities, we figured that we needed both a nonprofit and a for-profit arm.
Which one was first?
We started a for-profit first.
Oh, I thought it was the opposite.
Yeah, we started a C Corp first. And then we realized that it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Right? We needed more. We needed to really not leave any rocks unturned and reinvest back into the community.
So how do you get, those big sponsorships and donations for the nonprofit?
Yeah. So that's a really good question. For us, we actually went on Upwork.
Okay.
And we hired a professional grant writer.
Okay.
Whoa.
Right? So
Yeah.
our grant writer costs between like $600 to $1,000.
Do they have any kind of job available on Upwork?
Yeah,
That's
any
crazy.
kind of job, right? So we hired someone that knew what they were doing, right? Because there is a certain style, way of applying, and the application process could be kind of overwhelming for beginners like myself. So we needed a professional. So with her help, we were able to secure some sponsors, some grants underneath Asian Hustle Network.
Are they like big companies or?
Yeah. So we secured $100,000 grant for the
Wow.
nonprofit, right? So it has helped a lot. You just have to find professionals that know what they're doing.
Are those also, a business that was not overseen, but they were a part of your Facebook community as well? And that's what they knew about you guys?
For this one, we try to stay away from our community
Oh, I see.
just because anything financial, we find it really sensitive.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So when you go outside of that, it's much easier to, it's less stressful on everyone.
Yeah. Anything financial, we try to seek out professionals outside the community for their expertise. Just because they didn't want any biased opinions or biased form of advice,
So there was no like crowdfunding or anything like that, or?
So we have crowdfunded in the past, but it wasn't for the company itself. It was
Oh, I
for
see.
different projects.
Oh,
Yeah. So we crowdfunded for our book that we release.
What is this book?
It's the Uplifted book. It's on our website. So the book highlights stories from Asian entrepreneurs
Nice.
that took their company from 0 to 1.
Is this a book that you wrote?
No. So I kind of supervised it, but we had someone write the book for us.
Nice. Delegating the work. I like that. All right. I want to delegate a bunch of children books. I always wanted to write children books, and maybe I should look on Upwork for that.
Yeah.
But no, that's pretty cool. So when did this release?
This book released in, I want to say summer 2021. So 2 years ago.
Wow. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Like on Amazon and stuff?
It's on Amazon. It's on our website. It's on
Ooh.
upliftedbook.com.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanna read those stories. Going from nothing to
0 to 1. Yeah.
0 to 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
And obviously that's about the business itself and not about you.
Yeah. There's a chapter about me and my story.
Yeah.
But it's generally towards businesses and getting inspired.
Very cool.
Now the business, the nonprofit is all funded by these sponsorships kind of thing or grants?
So the way that we see it is that the for-profit arm strictly focuses on the media side, whereas the nonprofit arm focus more on the community side, right? So we have a series that we launched called Investors and Founders Dinner Series. And the purpose of this is to open up more opportunities for people who never had these opportunities to begin with, right? So the dinner is generally smaller, about 15 people. The way we structure it, it's about 8 founders, 2 to 3 high-level investors that can like check immediately or make connections from there.
Wow.
And then we save spots for five entrepreneurs who didn't go to like Ivy Leagues, who didn't come from elite backgrounds, who didn't have family connections. How do we open up more doors to them?
This is like that TV show, Shark Tank. Is it called Shark Tank? Or what's it
Yeah,
called?
Shark Tank.
Shark Tank, right? Like this
Yeah.
is literally what you're doing at dinners. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So that's what you do with a nonprofit.
Yeah.
And like, I guess how is it sustainable in terms of you being able to invite people for these dinners, flying out to
Yeah.
different countries and doing that? Like, where's this money coming from?
Yeah, so we hire a grant writer, and so we get the money for it. We apply to company grants, government grants, other foundations, right? So that's how we sustain the nonprofit side.
Okay, so you did mention that. So does that mean that it's pretty much consistent now, and it's just always
It's
flowing in?
never really consistent because you have to apply every year.
Oh, I
But this
see.
particular year, we did pretty well with securing grants, and you realize quickly how crazy the nonprofit field is.
Yeah.
Because there are nonprofits that secure like hundreds of $1 million in grants, right? And when you look at Rolex, for example, they're a nonprofit.
Yeah.
The watch, right? Rolex is
I
a
didn't know
nonprofit.
that.
I didn't know that.
TED Talks is a nonprofit. They generated, I don't quote, I think I saw like $385 million last year
Wow.
in like grants and sponsorships and all those things.
Yeah.
So like nonprofit, it's a very interesting world to be a part of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like how did people get paid, or I don't even know how that works. Yeah.
I didn't really want to go down this route, but
Oh, okay.
basically, there's people like American Red Cross, right? And they get so much hate because I read somewhere that this guy pays himself millions of dollars through the nonprofit. And obviously they do have so much money that they are helping out, and it does work. But do you have to pay yourself those millions of dollars, So when you are is it called a CEO for a nonprofit?
Yeah. CEO, chairman, president.
Those things are public.
Mhm.
So everyone gets to see how much you make,
Mhm.
And that's why it's also dangerous because people never know how much to pay themselves. They don't want to pay themselves too much or too little, because obviously you do need the funds to, like what Bryan does. He needs to go fly to different countries and get people together, and it makes sense. It's definitely needed. But people don't see that. They're just like, damn, why does this guy make $8 million? Right? So
Yeah.
I guess another question that I had was, for these grants, are there like specific things that you have to hit, like requirements, I guess, or
Yeah.
what the money is going towards?
So it can't
or-
be obviously making a profit.
Right.
It has to be for the community. So
Right.
to be very clear what your mission statement is with the organization. What are you trying to do with that? Are you staying within the mission statement? That's where it gets tricky. But also it's very subjective in a way where you define like what is it you're using it for. Right.
Mhm.
As long as you understand from a common sense standpoint that you're not money laundering, you're
Yeah.
not doing dumb things.
Yeah.
Like you're serving a purpose like you originally intended, then everything should be fine.
Mm. Yeah, that's super interesting.
So starting a nonprofit is relatively simple. You can hit up any attorney. You can even do it online. You can even file it yourself. It's like a couple $100, pretty cheap. But then here's the thing. So you first start a nonprofit, you're technically not a 501c3, which is tax exemption. So in order to get that, you can contact a different. They have special um, like almost like sponsors for that
Yeah.
you can reach out to. So essentially, once you're a nonprofit, you reach out to like these organizations that sponsor nonprofits to temporarily give you the 501c3 status.
Yeah.
Because most people or most companies won't donate to a nonprofit unless they have tax exemption capabilities.
And no one thinks about that. They think once I start this nonprofit and register it, you're automatically tax exempt. You get all these benefits and things
Yeah.
like that. But you have so much more to do
Yeah.
to get that 513C.
That takes about 6 to 8 months to achieve. So
Wow.
in the process, you usually leverage out like a sponsor to help you sponsor your 501c3. That way
Yeah.
you can operate almost like the very next day, right? Or very next week, whenever you sign the paperwork. So essentially, these sponsors take a percentage of your donations as a commission, right? It's either 1 or 2%, something really low, right? And then the only tricky thing is that the money can't go straight to your bank account; it goes to theirs. And then when you need the money, then you kind of email them or call them to like use the money for whatever purpose you need.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Yeah.
so it stays with the sponsor.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then after you have your 501c3, is when you ask for the money back. You put it in your own bank account, and they can do what you need to do with that.
I see. That's when it becomes more of,
Your thing.
yeah.
Yeah. So there's a couple rules too. I mean, again, this is not legal advice right here,
Right.
but you do have to have your frequent meetings, your minutes recorded. You know, it's just transparency to make sure that you're staying close to your mission and what you're doing. You're doing what you're supposed to do, right? That's really important. But other than that, nonprofits are, I feel, underrated, misunderstood,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and extremely powerful,
Mm-hmm.
right? Of course, there's a lot more restrictions because of, there's a lot more regulations. With nonprofits, it's easy to like be very gray, right? Like because your goal is not generating a profit. Your goal is to generate like supposedly a better world. But you can kind of see that when put in the hands of bad actors, this could be like a money laundering scheme pretty easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Junbi matcha serves high quality matcha straight from the farms in Japan. The matcha leaves are hand picked by farmers to create the purest form of matcha straight to your cup. They currently have 5 locations around the US, 2 of them being in the LA area, which is Roland Heights and Westwood, 1 in Princeton, New Jersey, 1 in Dallas, Texas, and their newest location on the Waikiki Beach in Honolulu, Hawaii. If you don't have a Junbi near you, you can always purchase their matcha tins or pre-made packs. The most popular are the blueberry matcha and the vanilla matcha. You can just mix it with water and you'll have the same great tasting Junbi teas at the comfort of your own home. We were talking about real estate, and we want to kind of dive a little deeper into that and how before Asian Hustle Network, you had a job, right? And then you started doing real estate, and now you have passive income. And I just want to learn a little more about that part of your life.
Yeah, so the real estate side has always been my most interesting years because there's a lot of ups, a lot of downs. I learned a lot about myself. Prior to that, my business experience was little to none.
Yeah.
Like I dabble here and there with Amazon, lost some money there. And then that whole experience with losing money in Amazon has taught me that there's no such thing as getting rich quick.
That's so crazy because there's so many people that try Amazon or talk about doing that.
Yeah.
And they say they're so successful.
Yeah.
So that's the first person I heard of who failed at it.
Maybe it's just me.
I mean, like, what happened? Why did you fail at it?
Like the lack of inventory and not tracking things correctly, not tracking my KPIs.
I see.
Kind of like taking people's words for it, not
I
doing enough due
see.
diligence in factories, spending $1,000 to ship it from Asia, wherever I get it from, going through not knowing that I should hire someone else to check quality control somewhere along the way before I had to pay for shipping, which is at that time it was $500 or $600 to ship it over to
By boat.
the U.S. and obviously when it gets there, all your stuff is either deformed, damaged, not what it's supposed to look like. And you're like, how the heck am I supposed to sell this?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So definitely lost money on that side. Well, it was a good learning experience because it taught me to take things slow, take things right, and do it step by step because you're not in any rush, right? Just do it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you have passive income, and you don't have an active job right now, right? So
Yeah.
how did you get to getting passive income?
Yeah. So passive income was something I learned probably when I was 23, 24.
Wow, that's early.
What the term was. I started reading a lot of books on it, and I
Mhm.
realized that, originally I thought getting into the stock market was the key, right? I needed to become really good, but then I realized nothing's truly passive. That's so active, like daily trading, all these things.
Yeah.
So I looked into real estate as a way for me to like, okay, what if in real estate, as we know, it's not extremely passive. It's passive,
Right,
but
yeah.
it's not hands off,
Yeah.
Yeah. You're
right?
still a landlord.
You're still a landlord, right? You're still fixing stuff and getting things in order. I learned that, okay, there's two ways to do it. There's multiple strategies. Like there's like the BRRRR strategy. It's all real estate terms, right? But I learned that the best thing for me, and this is my theory, is that if you're over leveraged with multiple properties, then you're subjected to like the inflation, economy, and you're just really screwed. My objective is you don't need to be like guy who owns 100 or 1,000 houses to generate life-changing passive income. Yeah, of course, it's really cool to meet people and tell them, hey, I own like 500 or 1,000 doors. But really, you have to do the math backwards. How many houses does it take to be paid off in order for you to achieve the passive income that you want,
Mm.
right? And that's when I learned that I don't necessarily have to buy my apartments, my houses in the most expensive cities. Like every single city that you go to has a local millionaire in that city. It doesn't matter if it's a small city, doesn't matter if you never heard of it. There's someone that's a real estate millionaire in the particular town. So I came up with a theory that I would like to buy in the best areas of the cheapest cities,
Ah.
right? And at that time, this is before like Columbus, Ohio got really popular. Like I was able to pick up a few houses for like 60K, 80K, 90, and they're worth like 150, 200, 300 now, right?
How long ago was this?
This is 2017.
Okay, so now we're in 2023 and it's 100K more.
More.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so my 8 unit that I bought was for 316,000, and that was 1.1 million,
Wow.
Yeah.
right? So that was my theory. So I kind of stuck by that because I talked to people who got wrecked by the '08 crash, and a lot of them is because they were over leveraged. And for me, I did not want to be over leveraged.
What do you mean by over leverage?
So they took on too many loans, and
I see.
when your tenants leave, you can't make your payments,
Right.
and you default and you lose everything.
That's why people say never take out a HELOC on your home to buy another property.
You can, that's fine, but it has to be short term.
Yeah.
Oh.
Flips. You can only flip, right?
Yeah, it has to be short term because you're even now, right? Let's say for example, interest rates are historically low, like a year and a half ago. You took out a HELOC, you bought something. At first, the first year, yeah, you're a genius. You're using cheap money to make more money. But interest rates on HELOCs have ballooned to like 7.1, 7.2, and their interest rate has tripled.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right?
Well, people hope to pay that back by then. That's why.
That's right. Yeah, so it's never a smart idea. It's different strategies, right? It's right now we're just going very, very high level.
Yeah.
But to dive deeper, my strategy was I wanted paid off houses.
Yep.
Because I knew that if I had a vacancy for like 6 months, I'm not affected.
Yep.
Right? I'm not affected. Like I will whenever the income picks up again, I will get my money back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? Because the property is paid off. If I need to sell the property to upgrade into a bigger one, I can sell it anytime I want.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So cash is always there. So that's the one thing I was really looking for. It was like passive income, reducing my risk, and easy liquidation when I need it.
So then, when you got into these properties, you just paid cash up front?
Yeah. So keep in mind that when I was flipping houses, I took half that profit and I put it into buy and holds.
Oh, okay.
I didn't roll it over to the next big one and hope to make another million or whatever profit I was trying to make.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I was always grounded enough to be like, half of this goes into the next project, but this half goes into passive income because essentially flipping is a job.
Yeah.
And you keep flipping, you continue to give yourself a job. And what happens? You can't flip, you have no job, right? So I wanted, even if the passive income was like 600, 700 per property,
Mm-hmm.
like I thought about how much money I needed each month. and 10 grand with like 500 or whatever 400 passive income. It's not that many houses,
Yeah.
right? And then you're living a pretty decent life. And that will only escalate as you have more free time to worry about other different things. And your income will continue to increase. As you have more money, you buy more stuff, more cash. And that passive income stacks becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, right?
Yeah. How many homes do you own right now?
Not that many. I sold a lot of it when at the peak.
Mm-hmm.
At 2021?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So I offloaded a lot of it during the peak. So I only have a few.
Mm-hmm.
I have my 4-unit in Pasadena, which is next to Caltech, which does pretty well.
Yep.
And
That's a
I
great area.
have my triplex in Austin.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you've had homes all over the states, and you just have property managers help you take care of it.
That's right.
Like, that's the hardest to look for, is a good property manager.
Even today, I still have trouble finding property managers. Definitely, if I can give one advice, is you have to fire them fast, because property managers suck your
Yeah.
profits out like crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, the good ones help you scale quick, and the bad ones, you're stuck.
Yeah.
Mm.
Even if it's cheap property, like it's constant repairs and it just F's you up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that you have Asian Hustle Network and
Mhm.
you travel all across the world, and since you sold off your properties in the U.S., have you thought about buying properties in other countries?
Of course. It's just different, right? When you buy in different countries, they're subject to the government or like regulations locally, rules. But yeah, something I definitely thought about investing around the world.
I mean, even for your own vacation homes, because right now when
Yeah.
you're traveling, where are you staying? Like Airbnbs?
No, I have a apartment out there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, he's already ahead of what we're talking about.
Yeah, I have an apartment. I mean, not like I own it, but I have like my own space.
Okay,
Yeah.
that you rent.
Yeah, because you have to be a citizen of that country usually
To own.
to own.
So we're talking about in Vietnam.
Yeah,
How much is rent in Vietnam?
it's cheap.
What are we talking about here?
Like $750.
No way.
For what size of an apartment?
It's like I don't want to humble brag, but I
Eh.
have like a really high end apartment out in Vietnam for $800 a month.
For $800 a month.
Has security, pool, like you have everything you would need.
This is like 1,000 square feet or something.
Yeah, oversees
So-
the entire city, top floor. Yeah.
I remember my whole life, in college, and people were just saying, "Why do you want to stay in the U.S.? We can go to Vietnam for $400 and live like a king."
It's
You
true.
know?
It's true.
And so,
Maybe not 400. Inflation.
Not
happened.
anymore.
Yeah.
Double, but still relatively cheap to us.
so right now it's
Yeah.
$800.
Yeah.
So something like that here in Vegas, you think it would be like $3,000 to $4,000 a month?
Easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It comes furnished. You have cleaners, security guards, swimming pool.
I mean, that
gym.
sounds more like the high-rise towers that we have on the strip that people can buy.
Yeah.
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 And one thing that I heard is that out of the country, they usually sell things furnished, no? Or like
Not always.
oh, not always. Okay.
Yeah. It just makes it easier
Yeah.
for me to request it that has everything.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
I'm not trying to like figure out how to buy furniture.
Yeah.
All right, Justin, if we ever go to Vietnam, we're going to stay at his luxury apartment.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. I thought about it. I was like, should I spend like $400 to get something modest or $800?
Yeah.
I'm like, we only live once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty tight.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. This is the most popular matcha tin. It gives you the energy you need to prepare for your day without the crash, mainly because of its high quality. Make your own matcha at home with their daily ceremonial grade matcha. All you have to do is scoop, whisk, and enjoy. So this matcha tin is 100% pure shade grown, finely milled matcha. It's sourced from a 100-year-old farm in Japan. It pairs deliciously with other ingredients, and it fuels you to prepare daringly for your adventures ahead. I watched a little bit of you on another podcast with somebody else, and you were talking about how you wanted to learn about money at a young age. So you started reading books and started learning about money. And my question is, why did you want to start learning about money? And what were you trying to do with that money at that age?
Yeah. Yeah. So great question. I don't know. Just ever since I was a kid, I had always the fascination with money. I think it's mainly because I didn't grow up with any.
Yeah.
Like so for some more perspective, we lived in like a 600 square foot, 2 bedroom, 1 bath house with like 7 people.
Wow.
Oh.
Right. So growing up, like there was a bunk bed and there was a mattress underneath. So getting off bed is kind of funny because in the morning I just roll off the top bed, fall into the bottom bed, and then literally like 4 inches, there's like my desk where I did my homework.
Wow.
Mm.
Right. So super small, compact
Yeah.
house, and it was. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like even though it was small, and looking back, it was very humbling, but also very heartwarming at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. But all my life, like my parents always talked about money and how we never had enough of it. And to be successful in life, I need to make this amount of income. Like the amount of times my parents talk about money to me was insane, right? But then,
What did your parents do?
so my parents did a range of things. So my dad first got to America, he was like washing dishes, washing cars. To this day, like I still tip the car wash people a good amount because my dad said that was the hardest job he ever worked. Being in the sun all day, wiping down cars, like it was extremely hard. And then I think my mom washed dishes for a bit, but ultimately she ended up doing nails, which is very
Nice.
stereotypical of Vietnamese women. My dad eventually opened up his own business, so he did used appliances.
Nice.
So I spent half my childhood at streets picking up like used appliances for him to sell, going to junkyards with him, going to auction sales. Like getting dirty was not an issue for me growing up because that was a part of life.
That's why you're able to do real estate because you knew how to fix machines.
Yeah, well, not as talented as my dad. Like, you can listen to like a washing machine. Oh yeah, this belt's off. I'm like, what the
Yeah.
how can you tell?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. But my fascination with money is always around. I always wanted to take care of my parents. Right, that was like my first fascination with money. My second fascination was how it made me feel about myself because growing up, my parents were very strict about never letting any of my friends come over to our house,
Mm.
and I never understood why. It's because we're poor as shit, and they didn't want people to like judge me or my peers to judge me because we're always like 2, 3 levels poorer than the next poor person.
Yeah.
Right. And then when I got an opportunity I never really thought about money in a special way besides I need to make more of it. But a lot of my life changing experience happened in high school when I was a part of speech and debate. And I didn't know at the time, like speech and debate with other schools is a very privileged thing. Like having private coaches and being able to compete and being able to speak well is like a really like quote unquote a wealthy, affluent skill to have.
That's definitely where all the cool kids went to.
Yeah.
Like if you weren't cool, you were not in speech and debate. Like the
Yeah.
coolest kids in the school, the presidents, all that. they
Oh
were in
yeah,
that,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So luckily for me, even though our high school is relatively first generation immigrants, right? Kind of on the lower, used to be in the lower income side of town, but we were always like ranked top 3 or 4 in the nation for speech and debate for some odd reason. So shout out to my previous coach, Derek Yule, for keeping our program so strong. Because of that, people always held our speech and debate team with high regard. So I would be able to not only be like speech and debaters from other schools, but able to interact, like get invited over to their house. And when I got invited, my first one's like San Marino house. I was like, "You have a tennis court in the back? You
Yeah.
have a swimming pool in the back? It's insane! Like, what did your parents do?"
Yeah.
And it ended up being me talking to their parents.
That's so cool though.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, "You have 2 cars? What?" My
Yeah.
parents, I won.
Yeah.
It was just kind of mind blowing. And then I always ask them like, how'd you make your money? Like, what job? Are you a doctor? Like, how'd you make your money? And a lot of them, yeah, I invested. I did this and that. I got into real estate, and that started, planting a seed in my head that I can do this too.
And this was in
Right.
high school.
Yeah, that was like 13 or 14 at the time.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's where my first exposure to like this is what life could be.
That's
Mhm.
crazy. It's like the learnings you got at that age is so different from me. So I came from a middle class family. So sometimes we struggled, sometimes we had money.
Yeah.
Sometimes we had nice cars, sometimes we didn't, right? And so sometimes we had a house, sometimes we didn't have a house for a few months and we had to crash somewhere, But the things that I learned at 13, 14 compared to you, like the opportunity you had was incredible. That's so unique to be able to talk to people at that level and ask about money where I'm here with my dad, who's a construction company owner, and he's teaching me how to put lawns in people's yards or paint a whole house. And I'm just learning, like, in a whole summer, I can make $200. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's so different. It's crazy.
Yeah, even on my end, mine was just like, just save your money,
Right.
you know, because we didn't have much either, and we weren't like super poor or anything, but there was never like, oh, invested in this, or it was always like, save your money. I'm like, okay, well, what do I do now?
I mean, I've had other people tell my parents, you need to invest money for your kids. Get them these CD accounts or all the other things, and my parents just wave it off, like,
Oh yeah,
you
yeah.
know, like, nah, they don't do
Yeah.
that. But, like, you know, that's because we didn't have money to do that. We needed money for food and, you know, things like that.
Mhm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
we kind of went off topic a little
No,
bit.
not at all. Yeah, so that was kind of my first exposure. And then for me, learning about money was scary. Like my first time, I tried to like read the stock market. I didn't understand what the hell I was looking at.
Yeah.
All these numbers, graphs, number signs scared the crap out of me. So I kind of read books here and there, but it was always like on a back burner because I
Yeah.
felt like, why do I need to learn about this? I don't even have money right now.
That's not even a
Yeah.
passion for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Wait, so I'm sorry. You're reading stock books at 13, 14?
yeah, I'm a little bit older, like 15, 16.
I mean, that's still a really
that's
young
still really
age.
good.
Holy.
Yeah. I always had a fascination with how money worked,
Yeah.
right? And eventually it kind of led me down the path of what does money even mean? It's just a man-made concept. But what does it represent to me? It represents doing the things I want to do and making the world a better place. Because at the end of the day, unfortunately, money does talk and money does bring influence and power, but you have to be in the right position, the right mindset to use it the right way.
That's
Wow.
insane. I'm trying to understand why you think like this, because it's incredible. And you grew up with so many people in your household. Are you the oldest sibling? Is that why?
And I'm actually the second youngest, besides my younger brother.
Because usually it's like the oldest is the one that has to fight for the family, get the best jobs. But
Yeah.
actually, you know what? I'm gonna take that back. The oldest of the family is the one that secures the money, so they're working the safe jobs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
so the babies are the ones that risk it all, because they're like, everyone's got me. If I lose it all, you know, someone will take me in. And so it kind of makes sense a little bit, being the second youngest.
Yeah, my situation a little bit different. I think my siblings always had no interest in money,
Yeah.
and they're kind of borderline naive about money, right? They always assume that things are going to be okay, our parents are going to be okay. I was always the paranoid kid, where it's like, if I don't achieve this level of success, who's going to like take care of my parents during retirement?
Yep.
You know, and it got I got like a blast of reality when I finally understood how money worked when I was like 22, and I looked through my parents' savings and investments. I'm like, they do not have enough money for retirement. I need to start now. That's when I dabbled in Amazon and everything. And I was like, I need to become a millionaire before 30. All right, because I'm like, oh my god, my parents. I mean, it's gonna sound really messed up. Parents are idiots.
Oh yeah.
They didn't save anything.
Yeah.
You know, and
Well, they couldn't. They had so many kids, and
Yeah.
you know, all the money went towards you guys.
yeah, so that was a big realization that I need to step my game up. That I need to learn. I need to grow. I need to make as much money as I can, right? Because I remember working my first software engineering job, and I graduated at 1920, so I graduated early.
You're talking about college?
Yeah, I graduated college.
1920?
Yeah,
2 years of college
2.5 years.
for a 4-year school?
Yeah,
How did that even happen?
so
He's just smart as hell.
I'm like
no,
8 years.
it's not because I was smart, because I was forced in this position to graduate early. So my sister loves academia. She is 4 years older than me. So she graduated undergrad. She took a year off, and then she applied for her PhD program. Our parents could only afford one kid in college at a time, right? So either I take time off or I just cram everything and finish,
Wow.
right? So I chose obviously to cram everything, but I found that by cramming, I actually do better under pressure.
Oh.
Like my grades are significantly better because I had no free time. I had no time to be a jackass. I had no time to drink. All right, it's always homework. And as a result, I was really focused on all my classes and deliver like the highest GPA that I could. right? And I remember getting an email from the school to verify my transcript when I was applying for grad school. And they were like, did you take 8 classes per quarter? And typically the recommended amount is 2 to 3.
Oh my
So
god.
you take 8 classes per quarter? I'm like, yeah. Oh, we thought it was a mistake. I was like, yeah. So I found that I love pressuring myself. So that's the kind of way I run Asian Hustle Network with multiple different arms.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like that keeps me at a really high caliber. So I think that being bored is great as well because it helps me my creativity. But when I have a lot of pressure on me, that's when I deliver the best level.
Where do you think this discipline comes from? Because if that was me and I had that kind of pressure, I'd be like, fuck it. Just let my brother go to college. I'll just start a business. I'll hustle. You know what I mean? I'll get 3 jobs.
Yeah.
But like, how did you get the discipline to do 8 classes to make sure you graduate in 2.5 years so your next sibling can go to college? Like,
Yeah.
I can care less about my siblings that way because, you know, that's just how I grew up,
Yeah.
right? I felt like I was the only child,
Yeah.
even though I did have siblings. But for you, it's total opposite.
Yeah. I think that character-wise, I'm a flawed person. And let me explain. As far as I can remember as a kid, there's always an inner voice in my mind, in my heart, that says very arrogantly, I'm better than everybody.
That's what you need. Yeah.
You know? It's like, it doesn't matter if I got an F on my test, I'm like, I'm still better than everybody.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
so funny.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that was my coping mechanism, given the environment that I was a part of and growing up. Like, I remember, like, talking to my parents, my dad especially, and people around my neighborhood growing up. And I told him, like, I wanted to do this and that. And he'll look at me and be like, you're overextending yourself. Like, everybody's born with a destiny. Everybody's assigned a destiny when they're born, and you can't break that destiny. So I always hated that. I'm like, I want to control my own destiny. Like,
What
why?
did he think your destiny was?
He just thought like my capability at the time was just like having a desk job and like like a safe job, and I shouldn't break the mold,
Yeah.
right? So I always hated that, and I felt like everyone around me was saying the same thing, right? And to combat that subconsciously, I told myself internally that I was the best, and that propelled me to like push myself to do anything, right?
Well, that's what all these books teach you. They tell you to think like that, not to, and they tell you to act like that to a certain extent, not to be arrogant in public.
Yeah.
But if you always think that, you'll have this confidence to do better. And I didn't think anybody ever listened to that, and you obviously did, and that's great.
The fact that I didn't read books and just internalized it on my own.
Yeah, that's
like
pretty.
that. I thought that was pretty unique. I thought I was weird at first because at first like it could be interpreted as arrogance. Most of my reputation back in high school was like I was the arrogant kid. I always thought everything was easy, because I had to tell myself that, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be motivated to like embrace every single challenge that comes my way, right? If I didn't believe that, then I believe people around me when they say that. There's a lot of times they're like, Brian, why are you doing this? Brian, why are you doing that? Why? It makes no sense. The amount of times I heard that, I was like, okay, I need to block everybody out. I just need to think about what do I want to do and what can I be good at doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's been a minute since I heard why you doing this, and I think that's such a great time to experience something in your life.
Yeah.
If you never get to that point where someone says, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Then you haven't overextended yourself.
Yeah.
And bringing that up, it's kind of like, I haven't heard that for like 5 years. So that's kind of a bad thing for me. I feel like we should always hear that.
Yeah. Once in a while, but we're at a different point in our lives, right? Things are a little bit slower, sort of. Family comes first.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't want to be asking yourself when you have a family, what are you doing in your life? You want to be like, okay, everything is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's very true.
Now that you know, like, about money, what are some, I guess, basic rules or things that you can tell like the audience that you should focus on? Or
this is straight my opinion, not financial advice.
No.
I think if you're saving money, you're losing.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
I think
I
that
agree.
money should always be reinvested into new skill or something else that will help you level up. like your production for your videos or anything to like continuously level up. I believe that with a new skill, you'll probably make a lot more money quicker and faster than you ever save. Right? So continue to reinvest in yourself. Go to these conferences, like go eat dinner with your mentors or people that you admire, right? Up your level, up your game, up your knowledge, read more, right? Anything you do to invest into yourself to create a new skill, you're gonna like 10x or 100x that return later.
This is the matcha whisk. It's electric. It's very convenient to use. The electric matcha whisk is a fun, easy way to make matcha in a flash when you don't have the time or the space to break out your entire set. So you can still enjoy smooth, frothy matcha in just seconds, no matter where you are. So this is the bamboo matcha whisk. It's the most traditional way to make your matcha every morning. It'll help elevate it. It's a ritual that they used to do, and this is a 100-prong traditional bamboo matcha whisk. And it's foldable, so you can take it on the go. Very easy to use. I actually love using this. It's just makes the whole experience that much better. And then this ladle is the way I use to actually get the serving size for the matcha. I get the right amount by using this ladle, put it into the bowl, and I start whisking away. And just like that, by adding some water, it's ready to drink. So visit one of the locations near you so you can get some matcha, try it out. And if you guys aren't near any of the locations, go to junbishop.com. You can use our promo code WINNING to get 10% off anything on the website. I think this is a great way for you guys to really try this instead of using anything else for caffeine, such as sodas, coffees, pre-workouts. This is very clean. I do this myself and I love it. You now live in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
3 of us here all live in Las Vegas, and you have a nonprofit, you have a corporation. And so a lot of people who move from California to here, to Vegas, is for tax purposes, benefits us, we save money and things like that. And so my question is, because you have a nonprofit, people don't tend to move to a no income state tax.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say that? Okay. So, because with having a nonprofit, you already have a lot of things that benefits you. And so people just never choose to move to Vegas after that. So I'm kind of curious of why you moved did you move here personally, or is it because of your businesses?
I think I moved here personally first, right? Maggie and I were talking about leaving the Bay for quite a long time, right? I felt like there is a better place to grow your business. It doesn't necessarily have to be in like the major cities. So we're looking into Miami. We looked into Austin. But ultimately we picked Las Vegas because we knew that the type of business that we want to run, majority of our business will still be in California.
Oh, I see. So it was
Right.
close by.
Yeah, so the proximity was important to us. Like flying back is like an hour, right, to each city. It's
Yeah.
not that hard to get back. You can even drive if you need to. But the other criteria that we chose Vegas for was we wanted to be close to good food.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah, we ate in Miami. No offense, Miami people. It didn't
Yeah.
taste good at all.
No,
Yeah, no, my wife said the same thing. She went there one time for a bachelorette party. She said she couldn't eat anything there.
Yeah, we ordered a pho in Miami before,
Oof.
and it was like a barbecue steak brisket.
What?
It was like thick. It was like a thick
Yeah.
tri-tip on like, and then like I don't know, the broth didn't taste good at all. Went to Austin. Obviously better Asian food there. A small number of Asian community growing in Austin, but then we found the proximity to like the houses that we want to downtown, and flying back here was a little bit too far.
Yeah, it's like it's a 4 hour, 3 hour.
Yeah,
flight.
3.5 hours, 4. But ultimately, we're like, what about Las Vegas? Right? Originally, like Maggie was very against it. She was like, oh no, like
Sin City.
it's all like sand and dirt and gambling and hookers and all these different things.
Yeah.
But then it took a lot of convincing for her to move. So ultimately came here and we realized not only do we like it here, there's good Asian food, good food scene, good party scene, obviously. It's a very favorable political environment as well, right? I like it here because politics wise, I would consider myself like not too left and not too right. I'm kind of in the middle. Like I don't care if you're this party or that party, as long as your opinions are good and you're accountable, right? That's all I really care about. I feel like politics, and this is a different topic, has gone a little bit too extreme on each side, right? And I like Vegas because I call it like a purple city because you get people from both sides of spectrums,
Yeah.
and it's kind of respectable.
Right,
You need
right.
that, and you want the benefits of both parties.
Mhm.
Like, work together, bipartisan, right? Work together. So we got here. Political environment was great, and then we realized that once you started rerouting our LLCs and stuff through Nevada, amazing tax benefits,
Yeah.
right? Like this, I feel, I feel like more people should find out. It's
Yeah.
crazy compared to like California,
Right.
Yeah.
right? But again, Vegas is not for everybody. It is pretty hot. It is pretty dry. And if you have a gambling addiction, don't move here.
Right.
Yeah.
But you have, you made your business somewhere else, and it's time to like level up. This is the place to be.
Do you think that Vegas is gonna be your forever home, or are you gonna move somewhere else?
I ask myself that question a lot because I've been traveling the world pretty often. So I think it'll be a part of my rotation, right? I do right now. This past year, I've been trying out a new living model where I spend 6 months and 1 day in Vegas because of tax reasons.
In one day. Okay.
And then I spend 4 months in Asia and 2 months in whatever country I want to live in. So Australia or somewhere in Africa or somewhere in the UK.
All right. So I got two questions. Where's your favorite city in America to live in, and what is your favorite country to be in?
Yeah, great questions. So growing up, I always had a fascination with New York. I wanted to be in New York. I felt the hustle bustle was there. I love the money culture. It exemplifies me. Unfortunately, I never got a chance to live in New York, so I live in San Francisco instead. But nowadays, when I visit New York, like I can't stand the crowdedness, the noise, the smell.
I hate it. No offense, but I hate New York. I had the worst trip of my life there.
Oh wow.
And I won't get into that.
Yeah.
But then how about your country? Like, which is your favorite country to live in?
Yeah. So to finish off the first one, I still love New York a lot. I
Yeah.
would maybe live there part time, but obviously Vegas is still my favorite right now.
Okay.
Country wise, oh man, whatever, whatever, what is it? What do you call it? Like whatever fits your cup or floats your boat.
Oh,
Yeah.
Fletcher Bell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just depends on my mood. So I would say Singapore is very comparable to any Western country.
Really?
Very safe, very clean.
Yeah.
Very, very, very well run. Top education system in the world. Like everyone's really smart when you talk to them in Singapore. It's definitely one of my favorite. Surprisingly, I am a fan of Cambodia.
Cambodia.
Yeah,
Why is that?
I find Cambodia is completely underrated,
Okay.
and there's a misconception that it's dangerous, it's super poor. But when I went there, I thought this place is really clean. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
you know?
All right. So your favorite place is Cambodia and Vegas.
You also said Colombia, no? Or
Yeah, Colombia too, but that's more for a fun reason.
Ah,
He asked me
like-
where I want to live.
oh, okay, okay.
Oh, so
You're
Colombia
right.
is the best place to party.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome. Okay. And my last question is, where's the best place for food?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I think every place has something great to eat, right?
Except Miami.
Except for Miami. Well, Miami has good Cuban food,
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, that's all they have.
right? Strong Latino culture there. Definitely appreciate it. But that's a hard question to ask. I think every place I go to, I always keep a very open mind. And the one thing that I do when I travel, at least, is that I never say no and I never say ew.
Oh, yeah.
That's disrespectful,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? You go there, you appreciate the city, the culture, the people. You may not like it, but you never spit it out. You eat it, you say thank you, and you enjoy it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
You're such a good man.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I've learned a lot from Bryan, and he travels so much around the world, so that's why we asked him all those questions. Check out everything about Asian Hustle Network. You'll see in the description box. Check out his Instagram, and make sure to follow us on the Next Win Podcast. And we'll see you guys next time. All right, guys. So head over to thejumbishop.com, and you can get 10% off anything on the website by using our promo code WINNING.